Are you recording or not? Right, I'm JR, and this is...
I'm Martyn from Bad Wilf, hello.
And we have just done an episode of Desert Planet Picks.
It was a lot of fun,
But this very morning, just before I was due to come over here to do the Desert Planet Picks, you had just replied to something we'd said in a recent podcast.
I did.
And I thought, why not let's do a little 10-minute video and audio and have that discussion, because I thought you brought up some good points that we could have probably brought up on the episode of the podcast. But it was a conversation. Somebody had sent in a question and we were just answering the question. So we were just going through it briefly.
Yeah.
But I thought there was room for more.
Okay.
And seeing as you had brought it up anyway, and seeing as we were going to be here, I thought it was well worth getting into it. It was the question of, should the next Doctor be a woman or not?
Yeah. I kind of think that I can see the argument for yes. And whoever they cast next is going to be a reaction to the last one.
Yeah.
Idiots are going to say, oh, it didn't work, so they had to cast a white man again. If they go for a black guy, they're going to be accused of ticking boxes, which idiots like to say, oh, they're just box ticking.
Yeah.
But, the right actor for the role should be the right actor for the role regardless. And, Jodie Whittaker might not be working for you, but the next one might. But I don't know. I think that they shouldn't go in being, we need to cast a woman.
This takes us back to the question of Chris Chibnall and his... As I understand it, his inclination... He went to the BBC and said, right, I'll do Doctor Who, but I want a woman as the Doctor.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. Jodie Whittaker did an interview with the Two Shots podcast.
And actually, I had heard that, so I should have brought that up.
And in that, she talks about the fact that she had to convince Chris Chibnall to let her audition.
Yeah.
And she made him watch this short movie that she had been in.
Yeah.
As kind of her audition piece. And then after he saw that, and she said it was really awkward because they were on a train journey back to London.
That's right.
And she had to watch him watch her on this thing. And after he saw that, he was like, yeah, you can audition. And he got her in. But he didn't go to the BBC saying, I think Jodie Whittaker is...
Exactly, which I think is the impression a lot of people have got.
It's because they worked together before. I mean, I'm sure that's a bonus and they have a shorthand with each other.
Exactly, yeah.
But it wasn't blatant nepotism like people think it was. She had to work for the role.
Yeah. And I think it's sort of... I don't know whether this is just people speculating and it's sort of percolating into fact.
Yeah.
But it's sort of become the understood thing that he offered it to Olivia Colman first anyway.
I don't know how true that is.
No.
I don't know how true that is. Maybe there was a meeting and a discussion. Or maybe it was, you never know. When people say they've had meetings and stuff, it might have been something really informal where they just had coffee one morning and he was like, oh, I'm doing Doctor Who.
How would you feel? And
she was like, no.
Yeah.
You never know. It might have been something like that. Or she might have been on a list that the BBC had.
I think the reason why that's become the way it is because when he got the job, a lot of people said, well, who has he worked with that could be the Doctor?
Yeah.
And if it's going to be a woman, then obviously it's Olivia Colman. So I think that bedded into people's minds before they discovered it was going to be Jodie Whittaker instead.
I think Olivia Colman would be amazing as the Doctor.
Yeah, but her career's taken her somewhere where she's not going to be the Doctor.
Exactly.
Although it's not like... I think people also make another assumption that when you cast a Doctor, you're essentially going to be casting somebody who's relatively unknown.
Yeah. Well, it's not necessarily the case because David Tennant, although he wasn't a household name, he was a known actor. Like, I knew the name. I hadn't seen him in anything, but I'd heard his name.
Yeah. I'd seen him in 2 or 3 different things before.
What was he in?
He was in Casanova, which was
the
thing, but I'd seen him in Randall and Hopkirk.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and he's been in a few other things as well. Okay then, personal opinion. Do you think it was the right choice to cast a woman? Do you think it was right for Chris Chibnall to go in and say, I want it to be a woman? And do you think Jodie Whittaker was, I'm not going to say the best choice, but do you think Jodie Whittaker was a reasonable choice, regardless maybe of what you feel?
It's interesting because I always thought we would get a female Doctor,
yeah,
but I didn't think a new showrunner would do it. I thought they would do it in like their second tenure.
Yeah.
Like they would wait and establish it, and then I was convinced it was going to be Chris Marshall.
Yeah.
All the signs pointed to it being Chris Marshall.
Oh, just to butt in for a second, I didn't really know much Chris Marshall before, and I've actually seen a lot of Death in Paradise since.
He's amazing in Death in Paradise.
I think he'd make a really good Doctor.
Yeah, and people were just judging it on Love Actually. Like one role he did, nearly 20 years ago?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, fine. But it's worked for the most part. I mean, I know it's brought in a whole new audience. My kids loved Series 11.
Oh, really?
And they responded to it more than any previous series.
Wow.
And I don't live with my kids, but every Monday night,
yeah,
they would phone me and we would have a half an hour discussion about Doctor Who from Sunday. And they would not only tell me what they thought about it, they would tell me what all their friends at school thought about it.
Right.
So it's really resonating with the 7 to 10 demographic.
Yeah.
Which is what the show needs to do to continue. It needs to build new fans to continue.
I think it's resonating, I don't know, in general. I think it's probably working well for the younger kids and for the older generation, like the Blue Rinse generation.
Yeah,
because it's got that Sunday night thing where it doesn't fit as oddly in between Country File and Antiques Roadshow or whatever as you'd imagine it would have done.
Yeah,
I think it's the people in between who are taking against it and getting angry.
Yeah. I mean, I had no issue. I mean, she had me when she pulled down the hoodie in that trailer. I was like, yeah, that's the Doctor.
Yeah.
I've never had any issue with anyone they've cast. As soon as they've announced them, I'm like, well, that's the Doctor. Jodie Whittaker, she's almost there.
Yeah.
She's almost there. My issues with Series 11 have nothing to do with the cast.
Right, fair enough.
I think she's nearly there. And she seems like the nicest person in the world for everything I've seen like on interviews. But I think she's nearly there and she just needs a little bit of a better script. And the thing I'm hoping that this equates to is Torchwood. Series 1 of Torchwood, apart from a few episodes, it's mostly a dud. I'm sorry. Saved by the bell. Oh, it's my delivery.
Ah, fair enough. Sorry for the pause.
Hello. Brilliant. Thank you.
Right, you can open that afterwards. I haven't paused the video because I don't know how to. What were we saying? Getting Jodie.
Yeah, I think she's almost there.
Yeah.
Torchwood Series 1, apart from a few episodes, it's terrible. And Chris Chibnall was the showrunner of Torchwood.
Well, it's the thing. He kind of became the default showrunner during the course of Series 1.
He kind of did, yeah. And then Series 2, Series 1 came on 2006. Series 1 came on...
Series 2, 2008, wasn't it? Yeah.
And Series 2 is great. There's only a couple of episodes I don't like, but it is head and shoulders above Series 1. It's like Monster of the Week. It's fun. It's adventurous. I know Series 3 is like the pinnacle of Torchwood, and that's critically the best.
So that's
and it is the best
thing, isn't it? Yeah.
But Series 2, if I've ever got like an hour and I want to watch an episode of Torchwood, it's Series 2 that I reach for because it's just fun and you're one and done with the episodes. And that took a little bit of a break. And I think maybe this production break is going to give Chibnall the chance to look at what worked, what didn't, and reevaluate it.
This is what I keep saying. You can't judge him or her until you've seen 2 series.
Exactly. And I saw a poll recently by some good friends of mine, Prop to Who. They're lovely guys, but they were like, oh, going on Series 11, what do you want for Series 13? And it's like, I can't answer that because I haven't seen Series 12. If Series 12 is more of the same and it doesn't really move me, then obviously I won't want them back for Series 13. But, it was their first series. And I know Stephen Moffat came in and really knocked out in the park with Series 5, but not everybody's going to do that.
And Stephen Moffat, really with Series 5, did a Russell T Davies on it.
He did, pretty much.
Whereas Chris Chibnall's come in and very much not done a Stephen Moffat. So whereas Stephen
Ironically.
Moffat, I think Stephen Moffat got a slightly easier ride because he didn't make a clean break
Yeah.
in terms of
He
style
followed
and
the same
tone.
sort of format.
Yeah.
Like, it was 3, then 2, then 3, then 2.
Yeah.
But ironically, Chris Chibnall kind of gave Doctor Who fans everything they've been begging for the past 15 years. Like, no returning villains.
Yeah.
Check. A finale that doesn't end with a big bombastic Hollywood ending. Check.
Not a single Doctor and single companion in a romantic relationship or whatever.
Check. And fans just didn't resonate with it for the most part. But you know what? 10 million on the opening episode. I know they dip slightly, but every TV show dips.
Yeah.
Like the opening of The Walking Dead, each series gets astronomical figures. And then by the finale, they've dropped off. That happens to every single TV series.
And the thing is, people are saying that, for Series 11, it started high and it was downhill all the way.
It wasn't bad.
But the reason it was downhill all the way is because it started so high. If it had started lower, it would have been up and down all the way.
It's really weird because Doctor Who was the 8th most watched thing of 2018.
Yeah.
A show that's failing is not in the top 10 of the most viewed.
No.
On New Year's Day, the New Year's Day special was the 5th most watched thing. The highest rated show on New Year's Day, was it? Yeah. New Year's Day was Luther with 6 million viewers. So Doctor Who for terrestrial TV is getting healthy figures. And in like 5 years, 1 million in the overnights is going to be a healthy figure.
Yeah.
That's the way we're going. Gone are the days of David Tennant when 11 million was standard.
Yeah.
It's just TV is different now. Broadcasting is different now. And Doctor Who isn't doing badly. It's still striving and it's strong and it's strong internationally. And I think...
Well, that's the most important thing, probably, yeah.
I think a lot of Doctor Who fans still have that small-minded mentality of it's our show, it's a small budget. But there's so many chefs in the kitchen with Doctor Who now that it's too big to fail.
People did this when Stephen Moffat was the boss, and they're doing it again with Chris Chibnall. Any niggle they've got with the programme, it's at his door.
Yeah.
But that's not and never has been the case. I mean, the overall showrunner has overall charge. Oh my God, you can't be across every single little thing all the time, and you have to deputise. So there's a lot of deputising having to go on. To bring it back round to where we started then, next Doctor after Jodie Whittaker, what would your preference be? Another woman, a person of colour, a woman of colour, a white
just
man?
a great actor with great scripts. I don't care about race or gender. I grew up watching Desmond's and The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and not once did I look at them and go, oh, this is a black family, this isn't for me. It was just a good comedy that I liked. If you just give me a show I like, I don't care about the race of the person. I don't care about the gender of the person. Just make a good show.
Right, I'm going to put a little, I'm not even sure I can call it a theory out there. I'm going to give you an example before I tell you what I'm talking about.
Okay.
When Kill the Moon was on, I watching it, didn't think anything, it's the thing about abortion. And
I didn't pick up on that at all,
No, and I don't think many people in Britain started to pick up on that until America started tweeting, it's about abortion.
I think what we've come into here is that old saying of an English literary professor will tell you, what the author meant here by the curtains are blue is that he was down and he was emotional. But what the author really meant is he had blue curtains.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that sometimes people do read into something a little bit too much.
Well, so here's what I was going to say. I think that here in Britain, we don't care. We don't look at people and say, he's black, she's white, she's Asian.
Yeah.
We just look at people and they're a person.
It's certainly different. An American friend of mine who's come over, he's kind of noticed that it's more multicultural over here than it is in America.
Yeah.
Despite the bigger population and like the different cultures, is that, and I've been to America, and it seems that like you will get a black neighborhood and you will get a Korean neighborhood, whereas over here it's just like, they're just my neighbors and they're Korean.
Yeah.
And you get on and it's great, and you go to the local Chinese restaurant and there's everyone of every different race there. And you know what, like, my previous relationship was with a black woman. My kids are mixed race.
Yeah.
And that's normal here.
You don't even notice.
Yeah, whereas I don't think interracial dating and stuff like that is that prevalent in the US. Maybe I'm wrong.
But I think maybe it's because there is more population that there, even if it's a smaller number of people, but social media tends to magnify the importance.
It does, because it's like an echo chamber. And
so things become issues that aren't issues.
Yeah, give me a good actor. Just get someone who can act.
But I think the thing there is, because the conversation on social media is global, if somebody makes it an issue, and I'm obviously generalising horrifically, but if it becomes an issue with half a dozen people in America, then it fans out.
It does,
so it becomes an issue in Britain as well. I wonder, and with social media, this could never be the case, but I wonder if they cast a woman doctor back in the 1970s and the programme wasn't being sold abroad as widely and there was no social media, I wonder if there would even have been a conversation about it.
Probably not.
There'd have been a few people saying, not so sure about that. But
the first of anything is always going to get the flack.
Yeah.
Like Jodie Whittaker is never just going to be the 13th Doctor. She's always going to be the first female Doctor. The 5th female Doctor isn't going to suffer from this.
No.
No one's going to even bring up the fact that she's a woman.
No.
And it goes back to my point. Like, I asked you another question, and it was the fact that Peter Davison, we've already had a non-white actor in the role. Because a lot of people don't know that Peter Davison's dad is black.
Yes. In fact, I did know that.
Yeah.
And until you brought it up, I'd completely forgotten.
And
because it's just
Peter Davison just looks white. And I know this because my ex, who I just mentioned, is from the same sort of community that Peter Davison's from.
Right.
And she told me one day, she was like, I was watching an old classic Doctor Who, and she's like, did you know he's mixed race? And I was like, no, I didn't know that. He's never hidden from it.
No.
But because he looks white.
He looks so white, doesn't he? Yeah.
He looks like the quintessential white Englishman.
Yeah.
But it's in his book a lot about what it was like to grow up in 60s Britain in a mixed race household, being the only white looking sibling.
Wow.
And it's a really interesting read. And if anyone's watching, I would recommend that you read the book. But my question is, like, why isn't a bigger deal made of Peter Davison's race? Is it just because he looks white?
He looks so white. Yeah.
Everyone assumes he's white. So it looks like we've only had all these white men. And I guess my question is, if he looked more obviously mixed race, do you think he would have been the 5th Doctor?
So this question came a couple of hours ago. And although we've been doing other things, so I've not had a lot of time to think about it. My answer is, I think he was cast just before it would have become an issue.
Yeah.
So if he'd have been cast at the same time as Colin Baker was, I think it might have been an issue, just a little bit, not as much as it would be these days. But I think being cast immediately after Tom Baker, they could have cast the blackest of black actors. And I don't think it would quite have been an issue because fandom was still very much in its...
And people gave Peter Davison a hard time just because he wasn't Tom Baker.
Yeah, exactly.
So, maybe his race wouldn't have impacted the role.
I don't think so. And in fact, maybe if he had been more obviously mixed race, that would have... Because the thing that they gave him a hard time for was being the bland Doctor. If he'd have been a bit blacker, they might not have thought he was quite so bland.
There's a old TV show called The Real McCoy.
Yeah.
And it was like a black show, and they gave him like a West Indies accent on a clip.
Oh,
and
really?
It looks really funny because you've got the whitest of the white guys with this accent. But I wonder if they'd known about his heritage, would they have added that to the clip?
Yeah.
But I mean, genes and race and everything is really, really weird. Like my daughter often passes for white. Like she doesn't look black at all. And my son is often mistaken for Spanish, especially in Spain. We had to take him to hospital in Spain once. And they kept asking him in Spanish, who is this Englishman?
Wow.
And he didn't understand what they were talking about because he doesn't speak Spanish because he's English.
Yeah.
But they fully believed he was Spanish.
Wow.
Yeah, he looks Spanish. So Peter Davison not looking obviously mixed race is not that surprising. Like, it happens. And I don't know, maybe a bigger deal isn't made about it because people don't know.
Yeah, probably, because I think although he doesn't hide from it, it's not like it gets reported a lot.
Yeah. And
So-
everyone who looks at the line of doctors just thinks, well, there's a bunch of white guys.
Yeah, and
But
like you say, he looks the whitest of them all.
We have had a mixed race doctor
Yeah.
in the role. So casting the second mixed race doctor shouldn't be a big issue.
No. I can't wait, to be honest.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the first mixed race or black or person of colour to be the doctor. But I can't wait till all those conversations are in the past and we're beyond them and you can just have
It shouldn't be
whoever
an
you want
issue.
without it being an issue.
2019 is nearly 2020. This should not be an issue. Like, someone's race should not be an issue. It shouldn't be the first thing you even notice about them, really.
Well, this is why I was so happy when Chris Chibnall did cast a woman as the doctor, because I knew that for the first few years there'd be all this angst. But once she's gone and you've had another one, then you just don't have to have that conversation anymore. Should the doctor be a woman? It goes away.
I mean, nobody remembers the third man on the moon.
No.
You remember Neil Armstrong, and he's the one that gets all the glory. So the first female doctor is going to get that. The first black doctor is going to get that. The first openly gay actor to play the doctor is going to be like, oh, are you going to play a gay? Are you going to play straight? And all of that is going to come up. But once you've had all those, you've had all those.
Yeah, and then you can just get on with it.
Yeah, and that's what I want. I just want good stories, good acting, just entertain the hell out of me for an hour. And it doesn't even have to be the best show on TV. It just has to be really entertaining. Like my favourite film of this year has been Hobbs and Shaw. It's not the best film in the world, but it is so entertaining. It's big, it's loud, it's dumb, and it's just exactly what you want at the cinema for like escapism. That's what I want from Doctor Who. Just give me a good, entertaining story.
Well, and on that point, and you can find out whether he picked Hobbs and Shaw as his film choice on Desert Planet Picks or not. I think that's a good point to leave it, though.
Okay, thank you, Joe.
You're welcome. I was JR. He was
Martyn.
And, well, I'll speak again soon. He'll be speaking again soon somewhere else.
In Exeter.
On the Bad
Wilf podcast.
Right.